Pre-reading questions. 1. Which famous detective character did Arthur Conan Doyle invent? 2. What other story or TV detectives do you know? 3. Would you be a good detective? Why? Why not?
A desert map. Luke Terry has flown to visit his father, who is filming for a TV wildlife program in the desert. As Luke went through the airport's immigration control, his passport was taken away and he was escorted to an interview room where a security officer asked him to open his suitcase. "Did you pack this bag yourself?" The security officer gave Luke a hard stare. "Yes," Luke replied nervously. He dropped his eyes under the man's hostile gaze. "Did anyone give you anything to put in it?" he asked icily. "No. I mean, yes," Luke stammered. "Which is it, yes or no?" the man hissed like a striking viper. Luke felt himself break into a sweat. He tried to keep his voice even. He had no reason to feel guilty or afraid, but he felt both. "My sister gave me a map." "What map?" The man's eyes narrowed. Luke pulled out the folded map of the desert that Miranda had given him just before he left London early that morning. Already it seemed like days ago. The officer took the map, opened it and looked at it silently. "Look, can I go now? I just need my passport back, please. My father is meeting me, so I'd like to." Even to Luke, his mumbled requests sounded feeble, nowhere near the assertive tone he had been aiming for. "Wait," the officer snapped and left the room. Luke felt nauseous. He tried to breathe deeply. There was no reason to panic, he told himself. He had done nothing wrong. His father was waiting for him in the arrivals hall. If the officer would just speak to his father, the problem, whatever it was, could be sorted out. Luke decided that he would suggest it as soon as the man came back. He stood up with determination as the door opened, but a different, smaller man walked into the room. "Well, Mr. Luke Terry, aged 17 from London," he said with a smile, "I have your passport. Here." Luke breathed a sigh of relief and reached out his hand to take it, but the man made no move to give it to him. "First, I have just a few questions," he smiled again. "Please sit down. Now, Luke, what is the purpose of your visit?" "I've come to stay with my father," Luke said hesitantly. "For the summer holidays," he added. "Your father, what does he do?" the man enquired in a friendly tone. "He's a cameraman, with a film company," Luke explained, feeling his confidence returning. "They are filming desert wildlife. It takes months. So I'm staying with him while he's working. He's going to show me some of the places where they've been filming." "So you're a tourist?" The man smiled at Luke encouragingly. "Yes, that's right." Luke began to relax. He smiled at the man. The man smiled back. Then he leaned forward, no longer smiling, and spoke quietly. "Then why are you carrying a map with ancient secret burial sites marked on it?" "I'm not, am I?" Luke gulped in amazement. "I'm afraid you are. These sites are only known to a few people." "How did you get that map?" the man asked sharply. "My sister, Miranda, gave it to me," Luke told him. "Is your sister an archaeologist?" "An archaeologist? No, she's a student of zoology. She's mad about animals," Like Dad, then why did she mark the burial sites? I don't know. Luke's voice was raised in protest. Look, she got the map in a second-hand bookshop. It must have been marked already. The man smiled, shaking his head. We've had a tip-off, you see. We've been waiting for a young man, about your age, to arrive from London, carrying a map of the desert. A marked map. Just like yours. Well, I'm not the person you're looking for, Luke insisted. This map and these sites, they're nothing to do with me or my sister. It's just a map of the desert. That's all it is. The man was completely silent. Suddenly he sat back in his chair. I can see you're telling the truth, he said. You're free to go. Enjoy your visit. Astonished at being so abruptly released, Luke hurried out of the interview room and into the almost deserted arrival hall where his father was still waiting. Luke, he exclaimed. What kept you? They were asking me loads of weird questions, Dad. I'll tell you on the way. As they weaved away through the evening traffic towards the desert highway, Luke told his father about the interview. His father listened attentively. When Luke had finished, his father asked, Have you still got the map? Yes. They let me keep it. That's interesting. Why? Well, if the places were so secret, you'd think they'd have taken it away, wouldn't you? Luke nodded in agreement. So they must have had a reason, said his father thoughtfully. I wonder what it is. Luke frowned. So do I, he said.
Answer these questions. 1. What has Luke been asked to do when the story starts? 2. What is the map of? 3. What did Luke decide that he would suggest to the officer? 4. Why did the second man not give Luke his passport straight away? 5. How long has Luke come to stay with his father for? 6. What is Luke's father filming? 7. What was marked on the map? 8. What is Luke's sister studying at the moment? 9. What was special about the bookshop where Miranda bought the map? 10. What did Luke's father expect the officers to do with a very secret map? Find these phrases in the text. Match them to the definitions below. Weave away tip-off immigration control security officer second hand. 1. The place where people arriving in a country have their passports checked. 2. A person whose job is to ensure the safety of a building or place. 3. Having already been owned by another person. 4. To go by a bending, curving route that goes around other objects. 5. A piece of useful information often given secretly. Discuss your answers to these questions. 1. Can you explain why the first officer asked Luke if he packed the bag himself? 2. How does Luke feel during the interview? How do you know? 3. Why do you think Luke feels like that? 4. Why do you think the second man released Luke so suddenly? 5. Why do you think Luke was allowed to keep the map? Your views. 1. How would you feel if you were asked questions by a security officer at an airport? 2. Do you think Luke is brave or easily scared? 3. Would you have done or said anything differently to Luke? Explain your answer. Listen and read. Holly, hi, Brad. It's brilliant to talk to you like this. Brad, you want to know about the Exxon Valdez, right? I don't know much about it myself, but I'll try and help. Jack, we're doing a feature on pollution of the oceans. Brad, great topic. Excellent. Holly, it was Jack's idea. He's feeling very pleased with himself. When did the disaster happen, Brad? Brad, in 1989, before I was born, but my parents have told me about it. Jack, it happened off the coast of Canada, didn't it? Brad, no, it happened in Alaska. That's part of the USA but pretty close to where I live. The Exxon Valdez was an oil tanker. It hit some rocks and a huge amount of oil spilled into the ocean. It caused terrible damage. Jack, these oil companies. They should be ashamed of themselves. Disasters like this happen too often. Holly, hang on, Jack. Maybe it was an accident. Accidents happen. Brad, my dad helped with the cleanup operation. Holly, really? Can you ask him about it for us? Brad, why don't you speak to him yourselves? He'd be happy to help. Answer these questions. 1. Where is Brad from? 2. What are Jack and Holly doing a feature on? 3. Why is Jack feeling pleased with himself? 4. What was the Exxon Valdez? 5. What happened to it? 6. When and where did the disaster happen? 7. How was Brad's father involved? 8. What does Brad suggest? Abruptly. Accident. Aim for. Already. Archaeologist. Ashamed. Assertive. Astonished. Attentively. Breathed. Brilliant. Burial. Carnivorous. Caused. Marked. Mischievous. Mumble. Narrowed. Nauseous. Nervously. Nodded. Operation. Panic. Passport. Perilous. Pollution. Pretty. Program. Companies. Confidence. Control. Courteous. Damage. Deserted. Determination. Disaster. Encouragingly. Enquired. Envious. Escort. Even. Exclaimed. Feature. Protest. Purpose. Raise. Reason. Relax. Released. Relief. Second hand. Security. Shaking. Sharply. Snap. Snapped. Sorted out. Sounded. Feeble. Filming. Folded. Grievous. Guilty. Gulp. Gulped. Harmonious. Hesitantly. Hideous. Highway. Hissed. Hostile. Spilled into. spontaneous, stammer, striking, studious, suggest, suitcase, sweat, tanker, thoughtfully, tip off, tone, victorious,